Hey there. I'm out here in the woods surrounding our cabin, imagine that, on a rather specific mission. I'm looking for gold. Well, I call it that. And I see some gold. And we're gonna slip into these little spots and see if we can't pick some gold. Come with me. I see a few nuggets in this area that I need to pick. Up the hill that I just left was pretty good. And I found another area not too far from it. Takes a little bit of work to get in here because it's so gnarly, tangly. But this is what I'm picking. Chanterelles. Everybody knows that there are no precious metal gold nuggets in lower Alabama. This is what we're after right here. I love it out in these woods. There's some nice fat wood laying on the ground over there. That's more gold. I call that the gold standard of fire making resources. That's a stump of solid fat wood that we call lightered in this part of the world. There's another stump, and that moss covered piece, that is solid fat wood. Back when they timbered this, after the turpentine industry went belly up, the sawmill didn't want the bottom part of that log because it was full of nails. And so they cut off the bottom about 5 feet, 6 feet of the log and left it. And that's some of that is virgin timber, some of it is extremely old growth timber of the longleaf pine. It's been a fairly productive walk in the woods. Let me show you what I come up with. Handful of pine needles that I'll take back and add this to a pot of tea with some goldenrod and some blueberry leaf and a couple of mint tea bags just for the mint flavor. Pine needles are not only rich in vitamin C, they also contain shikimic acid, which is an antiviral. We're going into the colds and flu season, so you know, that's just a good thing to do. But this right here, folks, you can see that. That's about a pound of chanterelles. Maybe a pound and a half. Those are going to really be good. Clean them up. Chop up some onion and the chanterelles and fry them in butter. That's some tasty stuff. I want to take just a minute to tell you about a group camp that we've got coming up. The third weekend, I think it's the 17th and the 18th of this month. Might be the 16th and 17th, you know, but it's the third weekend. And this group camp is something that I'm co-hosting with Blackie Thomas. That Blackie and I are both members of the Southeast bushcraft base camp, and had an opportunity to finally meet Blackie a few weeks ago on Duggar Mountain at the group camp that our friend Mark Hudson and our friend Papa Bear Jim Bryant hosted up there in that part of the state. And Blackie and I are co-hosting a camp the third weekend coming up. That's not far away. And the primary topic that we'll be addressing at that camp is foraging wild edibles. And it's kind of interesting. Back when I first started developing an interest in foraging wild edibles, I inquired of some people that I thought would know who in our local area that were into it, that had some kind of understanding of what's available in our area. And no one knew anybody. And I thought that these were, knowledgeable people because of the fields that they're involved in, and they are knowledgeable people. It's just this thing about wild edibles is really foreign to a lot of people. But I started researching and locating, identifying, and utilizing wild edibles as a hobby, and I've developed quite a list in our area of wild edibles. I think 40, 48, and we're going to be talking about some of those, and things that are seasonal. Wild edibles, they're seasonal. They come and go just like a lot of other stuff. And then I'm also going to be talking about some common medicinal stuff that is in our area. If you need an antibiotic, what you can use as an antibiotic. If you need an antiviral, the shikimic acid that's in these pine needles is in other things as well, or one other thing as well that I know of, and we're going to be talking about that and how to process it and get the most good out of it. So we got antibiotics, antivirals, antiseptic. What to use as an antiseptic on a wound that's readily available. And there's another A, analgesic. What do you need as a fever reducer? What can you use as a fever reducer or a pain reliever if you don't have access to a bottle of aspirin or a bottle of ibuprofen? We're going to be talking about that stuff, and this is all easily identified in the woods, and some of it requires a little processing, but we're going to be talking about that, and looking forward to that camp with Blackie at Open Pond Recreation Area in the Conecuh National Forest. And if you're close enough to get to that, it's going to be a good camp. Looking forward to the weekend and hanging out with some great folks, meeting some new folks, and seeing some folks we already know. So if you can make it to that camp, that'd be great. We'd love to see you. I'm sure you'll probably pick up some knowledge about woodsy stuff, and hope you can make it to that. Folks, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you subscribing. And in some shape, form, or fashion, get out in the outdoors to the extent of your ability and enjoy the adventure. I'll see you on the next one.